Problems feel like the only thing consistent in life. Problems feel like the one thing we know is going to happen. Whether you're as rich as can be, or you live on the street without a penny to your name, you will have problems in this life. The Buddha said life is suffering. Christ said, in the world you will have tribulations. In Islam it is said, and we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and of a loss of wealth and lives and fruits. Throughout history and throughout religion, people have seen the world as having problems. Right now, you may be struggling financially, or you may be struggling with a disease or ailment. Maybe you've been robbed. Maybe the worst thing in the world you could imagine has happened to you. And in the pain feels so much right now. And I get it. I do. This is not about you having an experience or not having an experience. This is not to ignore or marginalize the difficulties and challenges that you face. Instead, what I'm going to ask is for you to look at things a bit differently. What is a problem? The dictionary defines a problem as a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. I want you to really focus on that definition because in it shows the true nature of a problem. And it is rare for a dictionary to get the abstraction of a word so correct. Do you know what I'm talking about? What makes a problem a problem? It is when we regard a matter or situation as unwelcoming or harmful. Then it becomes a problem. Every day we're faced with hurdles and challenges that we navigate without issue. Whether welcomed or unwelcomed, whether harmful or pleasant, we as people, you as an individual, have managed to get through most things without much issue. Oftentimes, what some people see as problems, others see as opportunities. Sometimes, what people see as problems, others just see as expected in their everyday life. Because oftentimes, the things that we know we can handle, the things we feel we can overcome, we don't feel like those are problems. True problems for most people are the things that feel too overwhelming to face, the things that they can't figure out or solve, the things that feel hopeless and beyond challenging to actually overcome. It is the things they personally regard as unwelcome and harmful. And in that, people begin to spiral into depression, slip away into the darkness of despair, allowing this narrative in their mind to take a problem and weave it into the narrative of their existence, turning the problem into something far more than a matter that requires some attention. This comes because we do not see reality for what it is. We see reality for who we are. And thus everything in life is personal to this sense of self you call an identity. Everything that could be difficult or challenging or painful becomes a referendum on your life to that point. Problems then are not just problems that are happening right in that moment, but rather all the mistakes, issues, struggles, and challenges that you faced to that point and that you're likely to face in the future. It doesn't stop there. We take this word problem and we give it all these negative connotations. So rather than being something to solve and overcome, it becomes an issue and a difficulty that marks our lives and affects our existence. In truth, it's all just a thought. There are no problems. There are no difficulties. There is no suffering. It's all an illusion. And you might be thinking to yourself, what woo-woo land are you living in? Of course there are problems. In fact, the moment you hear that there are no problems, you probably have a list of things that are problems. But what I'm going to ask you to do is to look deeper than you ever had into what is actually happening in your life. Because when you begin to truly look at something that you call a problem and start to break it down to everything it is, what you begin to immediately notice are two things. The first being that all the emotions and feelings that you have with the problem you're facing are just that, emotions and feelings, and have nothing to do with the reality of the circumstance. The second thing you notice is that the things we make problems only become problems when we define them as such. It is only a problem if we make it one. If your spouse or yourself gets cancer, it can feel like a big problem, or it can just be a situation that you have to handle and deal with, and you go about doing just that. If you wake up in the morning and find your car missing, glass broken on the curb, and you know someone stole your car, it can be a big problem. In truth, the only thing it actually means is that you need to find another means of transportation until you get another car. To define is to suffer, and we are defining animals. And so life becomes a game of constant suffering as we seek to define everything that happens to us to explain it to ourselves. One thing becomes good and another thing becomes bad. One thing becomes beautiful and another thing becomes ugly. Each time, as we create this duality of existence and come to believe our perception of the world, we define ourselves into misery. But we don't have to do that. By accepting things as they are, it means that you look at them and see them for what they are, and you respond to them emotionally and physically for what they are, but not for what they are not. Taking only a moment to step back from the problem, look at it and break it down, not into the narrative of what it means for your life, but rather what is actually happening and only what is happening. Breaking it up and seeing each of the matters and situations at hand clearly and fully and in their place. What you will find is that there was never a problem to begin with. Just another thing in life to happen and for you to do something about or do nothing about. The fears, the worries, the consequences, those things are all in the future, and the future doesn't exist. All you're ever truly dealing with is right now, this moment, this instant, this. When you bring the fiction of a bad fortune teller to the table, all you do is suffer a reality that is not yet happening. So when my friend faced homelessness, she imagined that she and her child would end up on the streets. When she actually became homeless, she found one place after another to stay at until the state finally was able to find a place for her to stay. And I know that's not everyone's story. That's not the purpose of this story. The purpose is that she suffered endlessly at the dread and fear for months as she kept running into brick walls and finding a new place to stay. She saw it as a problem, a hopeless problem at that, and it made her miserable. And yet, even as the worst happened, even as she lost the apartment that she had for 3 years, even though she became homeless, even though all of that happened, it never became what she thought in her head that it would be. It never became the fearful and dangerous living on the streets with a tent and a hope that she worried would happen. These were the stories in her head. These were the problems that she was creating for the matter at hand instead of facing the matter for what it was. And for many people, when we're talking about problems, this is the road that they take. Never dealing with, experiencing, or seeing the matter at hand for what it is, but instead regarding the consequences and the unwelcome nature of it and the potential harm that will arise from it, and imagining all the scenarios that the matter will bring up in the future. And in this, they create a problem in their mind that has nothing to do with the matter at hand. This is why one must learn to look at things objectively, to see things clearly, to experience the world for what it is. And it begins by letting go of your need to define every little thing that happens in your life. From there, you want to look at things clearly for what they are, not for what you feel about them, not for what might happen in the future, not for any other reason than to see what is actually happening. Then, you want to break it down into the smallest pieces, understanding each emotion, each feeling, each thought attached to each of the problems this situation creates. Then, and only then, can you actually start to work on the problem. And when you do so without attachment to the solution, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to make everything work, and understanding that you will bring all that you can bring to the situation at hand, and it will either be enough or it won't. When you can come to accept life as it is, when you stop having the need to make life what you want it to be, when you truly and completely embrace the existence of right now and look and see the world for what it is rather than what you think about it, then beneath the idea of this problem life you think you're living, there is something entirely different, something truly freeing. It is a life without problems or suffering, a life without fear or worry of the future, a life without the binds of the past keeping you away from the present, a life that is in the here and now, a life of beauty and love for the entire universe. Hey, wait 1 second. I've got something big to share with you. Thanks for watching that video. If you made it this far, you hopefully enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed it, we put out one at least every other day. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notifications at the bottom of the video. And keep an eye out for the next video. Also, I'm building a community of people who want to transform their lives over a year. It's called the Cosmic Joke Challenge. If you want to find out what the Cosmic Joke Challenge is, you'll learn that and more in our 100% free Facebook group, which will be growing a library of content not available on YouTube. The link will be available in the description box below. Click it, join, and start transforming your life today.